Hello, hello, my friends. I'm International Master Andrey Ostrovskiy, and you're welcome to the next episode of Late Friday Night's Banter Blitz. So, tomorrow I'm playing again. This time in German Cup. So, this means that tonight we won't have a lot of time, so probably 1 hour and a half. So, without further speaking, let's get to playing. And as usual, I'm going to start with some guys I've never ever played before. So let's have a look. As usual, I want you to tell me on chat if everything is all right with the picture and with the sound. And I'm searching for people I've never ever played before. So Formless is here. Wow. Haven't seen for ages. Haven't seen for ages. Let us see. Here's the first one from Portugal. And accept. The drunken lawyer said that everything works fine. Stream is a case as Twyho's X. Okay, great. So the first game I'm playing with black pieces. Come on. Let us start. E4, E5. Knight f3, and let's try d6. So Philidor. Open Philidor. And bishop e7, so-called Antoshan system. Bishop to e3. Not very good move in this situation, I guess. So the best one is bishop f4. Probably g3 is also a great choice if you want to play more positional. So bishop on e3 is quite vulnerable. And after f3, I think I can play d5. Andrey, will you publish another menu card? Oh, it's a hard question. So most likely next week. Because this week, I'm not sure if actually I will do the stream on Sunday. Because it can happen that our team wins the match tomorrow and we will stay there for one more round on Sunday. So everything depends on actually the time I come back from that play. So maybe I will do the stream on Sunday. Anyway, we'll see. Wow, this is a great blunder. Bishop takes f5. Come on. So extra minor piece, absolutely winning position. Here is another piece which I can take. Yeah, so there is nothing to discuss. The start was epic, but, well, white just blundered a lot. Okay, another newcomer. Let's have a look. Who is that? Kasparov student. Well, but we have already played, by the way. All right, Moby. Wow, lots of guys. I've already played so much time. Zurian 77. So, by the way, as far as I remember, 1 week ago we had a problem. I mean, I accepted the challenge, but somehow the game didn't start. So I hope this time it will be better. So I accept the challenge from Zurian 77. It's loaded now. Very strange. So my computer works not that fast. Maybe it's not a computer. Maybe it's the server. I don't know. So e4, e5. I'm playing with black as well. Let's try the same, d6. So it worked well in the first game. Hopefully it will also work in this one. Bishop c4. Another try. Not a bad choice. So I'm going to play c6, preparing b5. or maybe even knight takes e4. And now d5. That is the downside of bishop c4. I mean, after that, position should be more or less equal. Elbing says, thanks for training Tuesdays, Andrey. They're very informative. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I try my best to make my chess content as instructive as possible. So knight on d4 is under attack. What to do? c3 gives me a chance to take on d4, by the way. Let's try this move. cd4, and now what about bishop e6? Super straightforward play. I'm just going to play bishop d5, occupying this blockading square. And if everything is successful in the sense of blockade, I guess I can even hope for a slight advantage later. Bishop c2. So now white is probably going to play queen d3, in which case I think I can afford playing g6. In fact, it's not very dangerous. So let's continue with the development. Knight to d7. Carming student says, Andrey giving up bishop pair, not normal. Here I have a compensation, as you can see. Isolated pawn, this gorgeous bishop on d5, potentially other advantages as well. So queen to h5, I can probably play knight to f6 now, attacking the queen. But then after queen h4, maybe I will have some problems. Connected with this bishop g5, pinning my knight. I can also try knight to e4 jump after that, but all this looks like just a trick. But if I play g6, I weaken my position a lot. And with the queen on h6, it's probably not very pleasant. Who knows? Not sure what should be a correct reaction to this queen h5, g6 or knight f6. Okay, let's play knight f6. I think it's better than anything else anyway. So now I think queen h4 is a normal move. But then I have some like knight e4 trick, attacking the queen with my queen. The only downside of that is actually the exchange of queens, and then bishop e4, we have opposing colored bishops. But white decided to put the queen on h3. And here is the trick. If I play queen d7, there is bishop h7 tactics. But what if I just play bishop e4 now? I guess this is an interesting option, just to try to get rid of the bishop. Especially if we exchange bishops, I will be happy. Because in that case, I will have the knight, which will potentially land on d5 against this bishop e3, which is quite bad. So now it starts feeling like a position with a slight advantage for black. And I don't want to give my opponent a chance to play a6. Because in that case, c6 may become quite vulnerable, and potentially my pawn blockaded on a7 may become a target for the bishop, let's say, in the ending. Like, the bishop gets the knight if all the heavy pieces are being exchanged. So it's better to keep pawns on light squares here to make them not accessible for the bishop. Alright, now what to do? I guess queen to d5 looks good. Exerting some small pressure on a5, simply controlling a lot, and so forth. Okay, now it's a question where to go. Because, well, I can play knight f6 with the idea of replacing my queen one day with a knight on d5, and probably it is the best move. Probably it is the best move. Let's do it. Knight d6 was also interesting. Was also interesting try. Is there a threat? Yeah, probably bishop g5 at some point. Okay, feels like now I need something like this. Queen e6 attacking the bishop and preparing knight to d5, yeah. Now the knight occupies the best possible square, covering also c7 and e7, which is nice. What about exchanging queens? So now I should gradually exchange all the heavy pieces. And centralize my king. What is the best setup here? With the knight on d5 or with the knight on b5? Not quite sure. Okay. Let's start with the centralization. Maybe it was better for me to play f6, king f7, I don't know. Oops. This is a good move for me. Now rook e2, rook g2 is possible. But then I lose b7. Okay, let's take this one. Guess it's better. And now my knight controls everything, so I can bring my king everywhere, almost everywhere I want. But maybe it is a fortress, I don't know. It may be a fortress. Not sure in my position at all. My goodness. Yeah, super bad play. Super bad play. F5 was possible. All right. Okay, very bad win. Very bad win. So it was all right up to, I don't know, up to some point. Maybe this idea of exchanging rooks was completely wrong, you know, because after that somehow I didn't find anything. I simply didn't find anything. Maybe I just had not enough time to come up with the normal plan. So takes. It's not so simple. It's not so simple, to be honest. So king d7, bishop f2. Maybe here I missed the chance. Maybe here I missed the chance. So I should provoke some weaknesses, right? I should provoke some weaknesses. But I somehow failed to figure it out how to do that. Knight f4, g3, knight e6, king c4. No, it doesn't look like something great. g3, king f5. All right, I played this. f5, king d7, king d6, b4. That was probably not forced absolutely, but okay, white decided to play that. I played f4, h4. I took, bishop took, knight e3. But here the thing is, if I protect the pawn this way, probably king e2 is a bit annoying. But maybe not. Maybe I just take here, king f2, knight goes here, bishop takes f4. And now I have a choice, a good choice probably, knight to d5, something like this. But again, it's not the position I wanted to achieve, in fact. Yeah, probably exchanging the rook was stupid. Probably exchanging the rook was entirely stupid. So, king to d3, I could have played what? I could have played... well, I'm not sure, in fact. Maybe I just overestimated my position. So somewhere here, I should have played something more accurate. So taking here, probably f5 immediately. Just the idea to limit the bishop. So if bishop goes here, I just play f4 right now, preventing all this stuff on this diagonal. And if rook goes here, I just play rook b8. Again, I'm not afraid of bishop g3 because of f4. And now I can potentially bring my king up to c7, protecting the pawn, and then activate the rook. Because in my position, what was wrong with all this, it's really hard to improve this situation. So if king d8, the move I also considered here, intending to put my king on c8, there is bishop d6, attacking my rook. And if I don't exchange the rooks, then my rook is forced somewhere here where it is quite ugly. But maybe just king c8 and then rook d8, rook e8, and I come back. Yeah, probably I missed this idea as well. So king d8 deserves serious attention. Just bring the king to c8, protecting the pawn, and then maneuvering the rook, trying to find some new weaknesses. All right, but anyway, it's an interesting game. Thanks a lot for this experience. Now you know why bishop c4 is not very attractive in general, because of this knight e4 ideas. Let's just continue one more game against the guy I've never ever played before, and then we come back to the normal order of challengers. So Moby, Afres from Norway. Let's play Afres. Accept. Bishop f8 is not dangerous, by the way, Kramnik student, so I just play f6 and protect my pawn. So it's nothing. Nothing special. I mean, you attack the pawn, but I have very simple defense. d4, knight f6. Bishop g5. All right. So I'm just giving white a chance to occupy the center with pawns, but I have pair of bishops already. And I just go back. What normal order of challenges does mean? Asks knight 90. This means one by one in the order in which they actually came. So queen d2. Okay, let's play d5. e5, and now we have French. Now we have French with pair of bishops for black, which is interesting. But what is really important here is that white doesn't have a dark squared bishop, which is usually a great piece in the sense of defending dark squares and attacking on dark squares when it comes to attack on the king side. So this means, in my opinion, white has no real chances here. It is a very pleasant version of French defense for black. I guess white should play something like ed5, in fact. Or maybe even doing something like c3 instead of knight to c3. It promises more, in my opinion. Okay, now just to take on d4 and exchange everything, or to play queen to b6. Let's take on d4. I guess it's fine. If knight takes d4, I even have knight takes e5, I think. Shouldn't be that dangerous for black. But there is some play. So if I take on e5, there is rook e1 attacking my knight. If knight goes away, there is knight takes d5. Well, who knows? Maybe it's dangerous a bit, maybe not. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. What about a6 first? I mean, if bishop c6, I take with the pawn, which is great. I will just push my pawns in the center after that. And if, say, bishop goes to d3, I can take the knight. If bishop goes to e2, then I take on e5 and there is no rook e1. Looks like an improvement or not. I guess it is. Okay, I take with the pawn. Of course, in this position, this a6 doesn't look like a useful pawn. Doesn't look like a useful move at all. But anyway, I have pair of bishops. I have potentially very nice play with my pawns. So there is nothing to be worried about. I mean, bishop c5 to complete a development and to prevent immediate f4. Maybe not the best move. Maybe it was better just to play bishop e7 and if f4 just g6, covering f5 square, and then gradually starting pushing the pawns in the center like c5 and so forth. Have no idea. Queen to b8 was also interesting, attacking both b2 and e5. I saw that move, but then f4, and if I take on b2, I was a bit afraid of immediate f5, something like this. After my bishop is on c5, of course, this idea doesn't make sense, because if I play bishop queen b8 and then take on b2, there is knight a4, which is annoying, and so on. Okay, let's put the bishop on a7. Oh, this is a stupid move. Just a stupid blunder. I just forgot about a6 pawn. Not very focused. That's my problem. But the idea behind just making a weighted move instead of castling, I want to wait a bit. Because if I castle and white plays f4, g6, then f5 is possible, grabbing my pawn on h6. Which is, again, maybe not that dangerous, but I wanted to actually solve this problem first, and only then to do something else. So now queen b6, maybe attacking the bishop and grabbing the pawn on b2. Let's check this one. Bishop d3. Okay, can I take on b2 now? It's a good question. I think it's possible. But it's a bit dangerous, of course. All right, so queen a3 is the only move. But after this move, my queen has the access to e7 square if necessary, and should be okay. Rook b7. Alright, I cannot castle right now. It's clear. But I can probably attack the rook with the bishop c8, just kicking it away. But then rook goes to c7. Let's say I play queen a5. Rook takes on c6. I can play bishop d7, but then rook a6 is possible. Alright, so it's unclear now. It's really unclear now. Maybe I should start with the queen a5 right now. Pinning the knight c3, probably intending to play bishop to d4, at the same time creating sort of threats like bishop to c8. Yeah, it may be interesting, so let's play queen a5. Yeah, nice move. So forcing exchange of queens. Otherwise the knight gets to d6 or f6, which is quite dangerous. Now I guess I have slightly better ending. Maybe simply better ending. I can start with bishop e3. Most likely. Yeah, I want to put my bishop here. Attacking the knight and exerting some pressure on f4. It should give me some time. So now, let's say, what about just king to e7? Oh, king e7 is potentially bad. But okay, let's do it. Now rook to b8. Exchanging rook. Exchanging the most active piece, I mean. Yeah. Okay, I won on time. I was a bit lucky, of course, in this game because I misplayed it at some point. I think I got very good position after the opening. So somewhere here it was already quite good. But I started playing not very good chess exactly here, I guess. So I should have played, first of all, just bishop e7, not bishop c5, because I want pawn on c5. Why should I play bishop c5? It doesn't really stop white from playing f4. It just, well, forces white to delay this move, but anyway, it's possible. And if f4, just, okay, g6, just like in the game, in fact. But having c5 free. So I don't think white has real chances to organize the attack here. On the king side, it's really hard. So if white starts something super aggressive here, it has the risk of just weakening the own king. And since position is not closed because the center is mobile, I can push my pawns here and open diagonal a8, h1. This means my bishops may become at some point just a superpower. And the rest is simple. I'm just preparing castling. I mean, with the bishop on e7, I can probably castle right away because if f5 attacking my h6, I can play bishop to g5. And then just c5, c4, or maybe c5, d4, maybe just c5 having this pair of pawns in the center, at some point playing rook b8, exerting some pressure on b2, and so forth. So gradual squeeze, just grabbing the space all around the board. That was a good play for black, but I played this bishop c5, bishop a7, which was not very convincing and looked, in fact, terrible. This gave white some play, obviously. As for white, I think after queen takes f6, the most promising continuation, in my opinion, I'm not sure, of course, but I experience some problems against c3 move, in fact, just protecting this, and then developing the pieces like bishop d3, knight to e2, quick castling, then f4, and so on. So something like this can be recommended here. All right, thanks for the game, and let's go for challenges one by one. Formless, super strong FIDE master from Australia. I have a negative score against this guy, so let's accept. C4. All right. E5 is obviously the move as well. But this is slightly more solid, in my opinion. CD5. So knight takes d5 and ed5 are probably equally possible. I prefer pawn here. So I will put the pawn. I want to try a5 move. Knight to c3. Very natural reaction. Let's overprotect d5. So e4 is coming, so probably bishop f5 should be played now. But my knight on b8 is a bit stuck, of course, protecting this c6. Of course, it's not the best way of placing the pieces here. So usually the bishop has to protect c6 pawn. And I obviously spent the time on a5. That was bad. So now c6 is hanging, just a natural result of my bad play. How to react, what to do. So queen to c7 doesn't really help, I think, but I don't have anything except for queen c7 right now, I guess. Protecting the pawn at least, and d5 is fortunately protected by the knight. So bishop d5, just knight d5. And somehow my position is not lost immediately. Yeah, it will be hard. It will be hard to play this game because weakness on c6 is very serious. Quite annoying. Now, however, I can play bishop b4, can I? Let's check what white is going to do against bishop here. For instance, bishop a3. Yes, rook to f1. Okay, this is an achievement. So I just forced the rook back to f1. And probably can... But what can I do? Anyway, it's not so much I can do here. So my pawn on b6 is weak. Let us at least go away from this super vulnerable position. Okay, bishop to d6 now. Queen c2. But the knight is pinned. It is good. But c6 is hanging, so I cannot continue my development with the knight d7 move, maybe. So let's protect it first. Alright? Or not? No, I should have played something else. Because now I think white has super annoying tactics like knight to c5 or something. But white decided not to do that, which again gives me some chances, some additional chances. So let's put the bishop on g6 and bring the knight to d7 finally. e4. Okay, let's take and play something like this. Again, attacking the rook. Will be really hard to survive it, honestly. Really hard. Position is just crumbling. White has strong center now. But I still have some tricks, I believe. Still have some tricks. For instance, now if knight takes b4, I just take, and e4 is pinned, so there is no immediate e5 or d5 or anything. Alright, bishop to a1. Not sure what white is going to achieve with this. Probably just waiting. And what if I just play b5? And knight takes c5. Because yeah, after dc5, obviously the bishop becomes quite strong, no questions, but... Okay, queen takes. Queen takes. So giving me a chance to take on a2, in fact. And I'm definitely not against that. Bishop f3. Say queen to d7. Can I just jump here? Creating a threat of a checkmate. In 2. Very pleasant to make such a move after making only defending moves. Alright, let's capture. Bishop e4, bishop f1, unfortunately. So what to do? To bring the knight somewhere. Okay, let's do this. This forces the exchange of these pieces. And potentially, I mean, after bishop e4, let's say, I should create some very nasty threats on the king side. Feels like that. But I'm really short of time. That is a problem. So now I want to play just queen f3. I guess white should care. I need this temple. So I took with the pawn just to exchange rooks. Because I have a feeling without rooks, white will be in trouble. It will be harder to cover all the weaknesses. Yeah, and white decided to resign because obviously I have extra material, I have positional advantage here. So yeah, for example, after exchange of rooks, I just take with the queen. I have a threat of queen c2 already, and then queen to g2. Queen h3 is a threat. If queen f2, I have queen c1. So queen d2 helps white cover the weaknesses at the moment. Yeah, probably it's not that simple, of course, because after all we have opposite covered bishops, but it should be, I think, winning position gradually. For example, queen to g4 now, creating sort of queen f3 again, and if queen e3 then queen d1. So I have extra material, I have much better position and so forth. Okay. Yes. So what was wrong? I think my position was very close to losing somewhere in the opening, so this is definitely a very bad experiment. But after 95, 94, queen c7, white somehow didn't find a way of finishing me. So bishop b4, okay, after this, rook f1, queen b7, knight to d3. I guess just a3 was straightforward and quite strong. So the knight on e5 is just great. I don't think there is a reason of moving it to d3. So bishop goes away, let's say to d6. Now I can continue with this rook e1 if he wants. But I was actually not very sure about queen d2. Just simple move, intended maybe queen f4 at some point. Also preparing something like queen to c3. But here is probably knight to e4. But again, I don't know. Rook e1 maybe. Then just starting this plan, f3, e4, and so on. Alright, 93 was also not bad, so queen c2, rook to c8. Here, I was afraid of this move, in fact, knight to c5, all of a sudden. So if I take on c2, knight takes b7, and I have both bishops hanging, so I have to take this. But then queen takes f5, and my pawn is hanging, and I thought it would be just a very good transformation, because if I take on d4, then bishop d4 with a clear advantage for white. Knight is hanging, c5 square is about to be occupied. And this is just a classic example of Rubinstein against Salve, for example, almost like that. Of course, I don't have this super ugly light squared bishop, but still, I didn't like this position. After knight c5, let's say, just total exchange, and white should be at least slightly better. All right. So let's go further. Graf von Pahlen is the next. Accept. Black pieces. Did I play with white? I think not yet. Knight to f6. All black games. What the hell? So... Grounding student says, yes, Andrey, in form and finding unusual mates. Thank you. I mean, this is just a link to my new YouTube video. I managed to play an interesting game and actually posted it on YouTube. Bishop f4. Okay, 94 bishop before 92 is the main line here. I guess after bishop f4, I can just take on c3, damaging the pawn structure a bit, and bishop to e7 should be just good enough. Queen c2. To play f5, preventing e4 just to castle, and then use e4 as an object of attack. Let's try this. So f5 is very tempting now. Very tempting, very, very tempting. The drunken lawyer says, but you are doing good with black pieces so far. That's right, but... I want to play with white as well. So it's pleasant after all just to start the game. I'm slightly better developed, so I think it makes sense to try something aggressive, like f5. Bishop is hanging, and bishop goes to e3. Solid move, and now bishop d3 becomes very annoying. Yeah, I saw that, but probably I underestimated white's play. Underestimated, sorry, the power of white's pieces there. Will be hard now. Will be very hard. So white is obviously better here. Obviously. Taking on f3, of course, doesn't help because it weakens light squares even more in my camp. Taking with the rook maybe, but no, I don't think I have a compensation. What to do, what to do, what to do. Where is my play? It's very hard. The center is controlled very nice by white's pieces, and yeah, I can play rook a5, of course, but I think white will not protect the pawn. Yeah, no idea. No idea what to do. Let's take. This is bad. This should be just lost for black. Because I have no enough development here. That's the problem. And my pawns are very vulnerable, especially this on h7. I still have some practical chances, no questions, but these chances look not very convincing. Very close now to losing the game. Very close. Okay, let's gamble. Yeah, f5 was stupid. I should have played f5, preventing e4 maybe. Maybe just not reacting to e4 so aggressively, like completing the development first, trying to play against c4 weakness and so on. This position is very bad now. But maybe I still have some tricks. You know, let's say. What about this move? Castles. Right, I can grab the pawn on a3. But, of course I want to grab it with the queen, but my queen is pinned to h7 pawn. And this is bad. So what to do here, I have no idea. Bishop g5, is it a threat or not? Can be potentially a threat. But it looks like I still have some space there, so let's improve the position of the knight. Let's try it. Graf von Pollen is gonna beat me in this game. It's very close, I would say. Okay, bishop f6 doesn't create a threat, does it? No, I don't think so. There is no threat. So let's continue with this. Knight c4, improving the position. Little by little. I don't quite understand bishop f6 move. I would consider it something like bishop d7 maybe, or maybe h4 protecting the bishop, and then rook e1, simplifying the position. So now I think I have some chances all of a sudden. I have some chances. Maybe even rook e2 at some point, sacrificing another exchange for this bishop on f5. We will see. And white has some problems with the time. So, yeah, rook g5, alright, just queen h6. Attacking the bishop on f6 with the queen. And pinning the rook at very least. Queen a4. Should be a blunder, right? So I just take on f6. And the rook on g5 is hanging. And I will have, as a result, three minor pieces for the rook. Because I grabbed the bishop as well. Yeah. And now it's a checkmate. Alright. PT now. Position was most likely just winning. So, rook takes f3, takes here, bishop f8, bishop to d3. That was very natural, of course. I play queen to h4. And now maybe bishop e4 is even not needed. After all, it's just... it's the time, right? So immediate rook g1 deserves serious attention here. Yeah, just rook to g1, then maybe c5, closing my bishop on f8. So something like this. Or maybe just castling and quickly playing along the g file. So not wasting the time on unnecessary activities. I don't think I can afford taking on f3 here. But maybe I can do it. Maybe I can do it. Alright, so after all, bishop e4 wasn't that bad. So, okay, d5 takes. This looks good. Knight to c6, maybe here. Maybe here white could have played much better. Don't know. So somehow the position remains quite complicated. So Kromningston says that it was interesting to keep the king on e2 or d2, but in both cases, if the king is on e2, I have bishop a6 resource. If king is on d2, knight a5, knight c4 is also a resource. So I don't know. Maybe it's not lost automatically, so maybe it's just very complicated. So rook g1, rook e8, castles knight a5, somewhere here, I think. White could have played better. So I guess bishop g5 at the start of the wrong plan. Just doubling rooks along the g file looked much more promising to me. So rook to g3 maybe, or maybe just like this. Intending to play rook to h3, by the way, just attacking h7, getting to this most vulnerable pawn. Maybe even without castling, look. Because my threat is now obviously to take on e3, but rook g3 parries this threat. So, and then at some point there will be a threat of rook to h3. And if I take, let's say, on h2, then okay, then castling is justified, I think. But now I can take on e3 because the rook is hanging. Well, there are some resources, I would say, so it's not completely clear. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, nice game, very interesting, and I was quite nervous during it. So you were close, I think, to beat me. Ceramic Student is the next one, accept. In general, I don't think bishop f4 is a good idea. Not very ambitious. All right. And, well, just a magic, look at this. White pieces, finally. Come on. I'm happy. I'm happy to play with white. So strange mix, right? But you probably saw that many times already. I like this especially when it's Blitz. I also played it several times over the board in classic tournaments. One of the games in this system I played against Almashi, Zoltan Almashi. at the moment when we played that game, he was 2700. At some point, it felt like I achieved a slight advantage, but in fact, position was roughly balanced, so that game ended in a draw. But when you play Blitz, it's a great system, I think. Sheldon Ford says Black Friday. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. That's right. So 95 bishop b3. Knight to g4. Okay. In general, I'm not that against of doing something like this. So now I'm closer to f5. Let me play f5 and I will be happy. Because it's the basic idea when you have the bishop on a2 g8 diagonal. And probably Kramnik student is surprised again because I'm just giving up a bishop, but in this position it's probably a typical thing. Because after f5, e5 anyway, white usually plays bishop g5, takes on f6 just to get to d5. So if white doesn't give up a dark squared bishop in this system, it's something strange. So okay. e5 is probably not sound when you don't have a dark squared bishop. So e5 is nothing by default. f5 is probably a bit early now, because after e5 and bishop b7, d5 square will be completely controlled by black. It's interesting to try something like queen g3 now, because with bishop b7 there is something like bishop takes e6. Some typical tactics. Should I try that or not? But because in general queen on g3 does not so much. Again, when you don't have a dark squared bishop on the board, there is nothing to do with the queen on g3 because you don't have a follow-up in the form of bishop h6. So maybe I should just keep on playing this in this position and style, just f5, e5, knight e2, rook d1, knight to g3, at some point exchanging my knight for that knight on f6. Let's do it. Control and d5 additionally. Okay. So if I take, it's clear that I have nothing, but queen c5 is a preparation of the b5 move. Maybe I already have nothing, absolutely. So, let's see. If I play queen f3, b5 takes, knight g3, b4, knight d5 takes. I can take with the pawn, then probably knight to e4. Well, it's absolutely nothing. Absolutely. If I play queen to d3, there is also b5 possible because my knight is overloaded on c3. Okay, so here at least I have some tiny attacking chances, so I'll try it. Rook c8, waiting a bit, which is probably good news for me. So I have some time to regroup my pieces, maybe to play knight to h5. We'll see. Everything depends on what black is going to do with his queen now. And with the pawn b6. Alright, this gives me even more time. So, feels like black is too generous. So, I think queen b4 was great, or maybe b5. Queen b4 with the idea of sacrifice on c3. Because now I actually achieved what I wanted. I exchanged the main defender of the d5 square. And after that, I will have a great position. I mean, very pleasant, without risk. Maybe it's not a great advantage, but still slight advantage, which is already quite pleasant. It's already quite pleasant. So in many cases, even if we have opposite colored bishops here in such a situation, it's quite nice. It's quite good. Okay, I'll take on f6, obviously. I guess nothing stops me from knight d5 now. And take with the rook. Bishop on b3 is just great. It controls everything. It protects everything, including c2 and c4. And exerts pressure on f7, which makes my bishop much better than this one on f6. That is still a big question if I have anything here, of course. So now, how to play this correctly? Probably queen to e2, attacking a6. Well, not really attacking immediately because e4 is under attack, but trying to do something connected with rook f3, maybe rook somewhere, and so forth. Have to be careful with my back rank, though, because there are some ideas connected with rook c2, connected with queen takes b3, and so on. So I shouldn't be in a hurry, so let's just make several waiting moves to see what is going on in this position. h6, additionally weakening light squares. It's a good sign. I guess it's time to try something against f7. Bishop g5. It is too risky, I guess, or not. Can I play h4, queen h5, something like this? I guess I can. Maybe just queen h5 and then h4. Yeah, like this. It is, I think, a safer option. Oh, really? I just captured it. Black was very, very generous in this game, in fact, giving me the time and then just blundering the piece. So white is slightly better, but it's not clear if white has a clearer plan of improving the position here. So bishop b3, just a big lock. Instead of playing rook to d8 and rook to c8, I think that were in fact mistakes. So first of all, here after queen to f3, I thought b5 immediately was great. So if I takes, as we can see, black controls d5 sufficiently. So if I play something like this, all right, knight takes. The difference is that if I take with the bishop, bishop takes, rook takes. Here's queen to c2, attacking b2. If I play rook b5, I think just rook to b8. And there is absolutely nothing. It feels like that. I mean, I can potentially bring my knight to d5, but with pawns on one flank, I think it's nothing. But who knows, maybe I have some, well, tiny chances to create some threats or something like that. That was interesting, first of all. Second of all, after rook to c8 and knight to g3, b5 here, or maybe even queen to b4, creating sort of rook takes c3. That was unclear to me, because I wasn't sure that knight h5 works now, because of rook takes c3, in fact. So bc3, queen takes c4, queen takes c4, bishop takes c4, knight f6, bishop f6. No, this looks like an advantage for white. So maybe to start with knight h5, queen h5, and now rook c3 takes and takes on e4 with a compensation. But probably it's not enough. Probably it's not enough. I don't know. All right. Simply taking on e4 looks very risky because of, say, f6 or not. No, there is a intermediate move, bishop g6. But then something like knight to d5 at some point. I don't know. No, here I think queen g4 is correct. Yeah, queen g4, just attacking the bishop, pinning it, and black is in trouble because I have f6 red and so forth. Yeah, this doesn't work either. Yeah, maybe there is no clear way to stop me from this stupid plan. All right. The other question, was it really dangerous or not? Yeah, maybe it was not that dangerous, but it was definitely very nasty. So bishop d5, rook d5, and only white can hope for a win here because of the better bishop. So this bishop on f6 and potential on g5, and just imagine any position on the board, it will attack nothing anyway, while my bishop attacks very important thing, f7 and so forth. Okay. Question, bishop g6, queen g6, and f takes c7. Was it possible in that line? Yeah, probably was possible. I think queen g4 is even clearer. After queen g4, white is much better. All right. Yeah, interesting game anyway. Let's continue. Let's continue. The Drunken Lawyer. Last time we played, you just flagged me. So, and white pieces. Let's do it. d6. Okay. Knight f6. Let's play d4. Oh, is it possible to play like this? Really? What if I play d5? What is going on? Am I missing something? Maybe it's again my awful opening knowledge, but come on. Feels like after b5 I have bishop c2. No? Yes. So, I'm just winning the material already. Wow, extra minor piece right from the start. Again, very generous. My friends, you are very generous today. You're like giving me a lot of pieces. It's very nice. Very nice. Right. Let us develop the guys. I have a lot of them. Is it possible to come up with a checkmate on h7 now? No. So black is generous, but not like completely generous. Okay, let's bring the bishop to h6 then. And rook to e1. Centralization. Bishop f6. Okay. So knight to e4 looks quite good. So black managed to grab 2 pawns for a piece. But it shouldn't be enough. Shouldn't be enough. 100%. Now, knight to g5, maybe. Maybe starting with the bishop b3. Forcing d5, which weakens c5 square, and so on. Well, not forcing, but provoking, I would say. Or knight to g5 to start with. Dunno. Everything looks very, very attractive here. Also possible just to retreat with the bishop to d2 and then to c3, just exchanging that guy. That is basically my plan, to get rid of that dark squared bishop. Yeah, let's do it. Also protect my b4, so that rook b8 is nothing. After rook b8 I can most likely just take on a6. So to be greedy. To be greedy. So bishop c3 or what? Queen d2. Now with the queen, yeah, with the queen, because there is a threat of knight f6. Let's take. Knight d5 is a defense. Knight e5 is a defense. Oops! My goodness, that was just a mouse slip. That was just a mouse. I mean, I didn't even intend to do that. So I somehow actually, how to say that? So I probably pressed on the queen accidentally, and then I just pressed an e3 square and it moved. Oh my god, so just a very bad luck. I didn't want to do that. I mean, I was thinking of playing queen d4 or queen d2, but not queen e3, obviously. Oh, okay. I'll offer a draw just in case, but there will be no draw, of course. Yeah. Accept, of course, accept. It was a pity thing. I mean, that was so stupid. I didn't want to do that, but it happened. Just happened. All right. All right. Nice. Yeah, there is nothing to comment, of course. Let us continue. Shelling forward. Probably my luck is over. So now there will be a very tough fight against Shelling. So, how did this happen? I have no idea. I just, yeah. All right, nothing to comment there. Let's try the same line. I mean, last time it was quite normal for me. And e3. Okay, so white tries to keep it simple. White tries to keep it simple. Let's also just continue development. Bishop e2 castles. And most likely white is ready for something like knight e2 and then e4. So I have two ideas here, to play c5 or to play d5, in fact. What about d5? I'm just experimenting, of course. I don't know the theory here. Just trying to play normal moves. Okay. Let's keep position solid. Knight e2 and bishop to g6. So this position reminds of the close Catalan a bit, but the difference is that my bishop is not passive on b7 or somewhere there, but quite active on g6, which is pleasant, to be honest. Which is pleasant. And now I am not sure that the rook on a3 is placed well. I think white has nothing in this position already, so black should be just okay. Let's play a5. Just fixing the weakness on b3. Okay, let's fight for the c file. It's an important thing here. So to play c5 or not to play c5? Good question. I guess it's possible. What is also possible just to bring the queen to d6 and then to do c5 or something. Yeah, it's a bit more logical in my opinion because I need my pieces to be more centralized, I guess, to protect potential weaknesses. Now it's time. So I want to double my rooks along the c file, but it's maybe not enough in this position. Yeah, it starts looking bad. I mean, I should be still okay, but this isolated pawn. Yeah, maybe in general this plan with the c5 was a bit premature. I should have played something else, I guess. But anyway, I think this position should be okay for black. Because this b3 pawn is quite vulnerable. My pieces are still slightly more active. Should be okay. Okay, so to take, and now some like queen c6, or what? Or queen f5. Or queen c6. Don't know. Which one is better? So now I attack both b3 and f2. which gives me potentially some chances. Maybe g3 was inaccuracy. This position was absolutely equal. Now I think I'm slightly better. I can come up with a perpetual now if I want. First of all, what did white plan? Let's take here. I think I anyway have a perpetual at any moment. So let's grab some pawns. I should be absolutely winning for black. Let's say check. Or maybe it's not that simple, in fact. Maybe it's not that simple. Yeah, there was a threat of breakthrough in case of exchange of the queens. So here, how to proceed? Let's have f6. Let's start with this move. Oops. This may be lost. Or maybe not. No, I should be winning. What happened? I won. Okay. Nice. Nice. Interesting game. Don G says that I had queen g5, but then the exchange of queens and then b4. Don G. All right. Very interesting game. Very interesting game. At some point, it was absolutely equal, balanced. Well, at some point, I thought I had some slight advantage. I mean, somewhere here when I managed to put my queen on b4, I thought I already have slightly better position. Maybe I did, but probably I overestimated it slightly. I don't know. So rook c8 here. It's really hard to find anything. Really hard. So white has only one potential weakness on b3 and some inconvenience based on this rook on a3, but not more than that. But this plan with the c5 was probably premature. So I played this, rook to a2. Maybe I should have played, something like rook to c7 here. Intending rook to c8. And only then it was the time to think of c5 or something. All right. Anyway, thanks for the game. Interesting one. So, let us play the last game. As I said at the very beginning, we were going to play only 1 hour and a half. It is almost like that. So the last game will be against Andrey Ostrovskiy this night. Accept. Knight c3. All right, so this is a hybrid of Nimzo and Queen's Indian. Let us take and play this move. Attack in c4. And now knight c6, knight a5. Typical thing. Yeah, in the game against Shalin, I could have probably, by the very end, instead of playing g5, g4, which was stupid, I could have actually pushed my pawn up to h1, and then I could have promoted with check. That was probably winning, but of course I had just seconds on the clock. It was already quite hard to realize. It was a real mess. I mean, queen a4. All right, let's castle. So I have a clear object of attack at this pawn c4. Now I can play d5. Because bishop on e2 isn't protected. And I can deal with the queen on a4 with the help of queen e8 or queen d7. It's something very, very typical for this pawn structures. But let's see what white plays first. Knight to e5. All right. It is very logical. I can potentially try knight e4, knight d6 now. But queen e8 also looks very interesting. But then queen b4. So what? Knight to d7, probably just exchanging the knight. Yeah, this looks interesting. This looks great. Okay, I guess nothing wrong with taking on the edge with the rook. And c4 is hanging, so I attack it 3 times what has only 2 defenses. It's not possible to move the pawn because I take the bishop, so everything says I will have material advantage very soon. Yeah. So white should be very careful in Nimzo when it comes to damaging the own pawn structure. So after that, usually the only chance to compensate it is super aggressive play in the center and on the king side. And in this game, we saw that, well, bishop went to e2 instead of d3, more active position. That was already inaccuracy, in my opinion. Okay, so now I wanted to do what? Just to capture several times on c4, starting with probably the knight. But white is going to play e4. Maybe it's better for me to start with rook d8, probably even intending to play knight to d7, exchanging that knight. In that case, probably the bishop e2 will be protected, so what? I will be anyway forced to take on c4. Okay, let's take on c4. Yes, after all, it should be correct. And now to e4, of course, white will have compensation, but I still believe it is not sufficient. So pawn is a pawn after all. Pawn is a pawn. Okay. Here's the question, how to play this correctly. Where do I need my knight? My knight should be somewhere on d3 ideally, of course. But a4 square looks also interesting. But it's not realistic, of course. It's not realistic. What is realistic is that definitely on f6 there is nothing to do. Absolutely. So let's bring it to d7 and later we'll see what to do with this guy. Say c6. So d5 is coming, but is it really dangerous or not? I'm not sure. Let us centralize the king. I mean, I wanted to bring my king closer to the center because obviously it's not possible to centralize it right now. And now let's try b5. So we're going to play knight b6, knight a4 at some point. And if d5, I wanted to take on d5 with the c pawn and then just to play e5 to try that pawn structure. It's quite hard, of course, to convert such a position. But still, only black has chances, I think. So I told you that knight on a4 was not realistic, but of course I still wanted to get there just to attack c3. Okay, white resigned probably because of having a catastrophe on the clock, only 10 seconds. It's not possible to survive it with such a time on the clock, of course. But e4 goes to c2. Okay, I wanted to play rook to d8 here. I control the situation on queenside completely. Now my plan is to try e5 at some point to open up the d file and then to try to open up the d file, I would say, and then to bring the rook to d3. But position remains quite unclear because white is now forced to take on e5. So say it's possible to do something like this, bishop to e3. And if I take, c takes, right, now I have like 3 pawns against 1 here. Still not clear to me. Still not clear. So this center is quite strong. So maybe I should do something like f5 here. And if e takes f5, I have d5 square. So I give the pawn back, but then my knight is being regrouped. And, well, at some point I play something like a6, b4. Don't know. So at the very beginning, it was important actually to come up with something aggressive. So I'm not sure that a3 is a good idea. So it's better to wait until black takes on c3. So not to waste the time on a3 instead of that bishop g5 is the main line and very good one. Then e3 or knight to d2. And you try to prepare e4. And if I damage your pawn structure, okay, at least you didn't waste the time on a3, and you have usually the time to bring your bishop to more active position on d3. That's the point. All right, guys, thanks a lot for being with me this night. Sorry for making this session a bit shorter if compared to usual late Friday night Banter Blitz sessions. I hope you learned something from my play this night. It was not so awful, again, if compared to previous weeks. So I managed to outplay two 2900s guys. My great opponents that usually beat me. I was quite lucky, obviously, so you actually gave up lots of pieces to me tonight. Thank you for this. It was also pleasant. Wish you all a great weekend. To be notified about my chess related activity, just subscribe to my Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and hopefully see you very, very soon. Bye bye.